everyone, welcome back to the HS Tech Channel. In this video, I'm going to show you what I think is going to be the coolest daily driving an old computer video you're ever going to see in your life. It's currently New Year's Eve. I'm an indeterminate amount of drinks deep on this, so here we go. Now, I know there's a lot of videos on YouTube of people daily driving old computers. That's great and all, but there's also like old PCs. I never see anyone daily driving an old mainframe. Well, obviously, I've got to do that. So I have in my bedroom an old IBM System 390 Multiprise 3000 sitting, making tons of noise, putting out tons of heat, but it's a lot of fun. And so for the past 5 months, it's been my primary computing platform. Now, in order to make this happen, remember, you don't really sit at a mainframe per se. You have terminals that are connected to it that stretch far and wide. And this is one such example of that. This is an IBM 3179 equivalent terminal. And in order to get this to show up on the screen, I've rigged it up to do video capture. And to make the text a little bit more readable, I have OBS doing chroma keying and color replacement to replace certain colors of the screen with different colors that I think should look a lot better on an LCD monitor. Because remember, this is originally driving a CRT, and you're probably not watching this on a CRT. So to help the text be a little bit more legible, there is a little bit of modification being done there to that, so just be made aware of that. Okay. Down at the bottom left is the terminal status area. 2 means I'm not talking through a 3174 or 3274 communications controller. If you don't know what that means, don't worry. B means I'm talking via SNA, which means I'm connected to the mainframe via a network rather than having the terminal directly connected to it. And then that picture of the figure means it's time for me to type in the name of the mainframe I want to connect to, which I think unsupported function is kind of a not very helpful error message in that regard. But mainframe terminals were intended to talk to more than one mainframe, because maybe your company or whatever has like 4 mainframes, and your terminal obviously would need to be able to log into any of those, because after all, they are multi-user time-sharing computers. And so IBM said, alright, we will design our network-based terminals to be able to log into any system. Now, I have several systems that I can choose from, but I'm going to choose the machine in my bedroom, the lovely, everyone loves it or hates it, EVVM. The infamous ZVM 4.4 combined with VMESA 2.4 mainframe that has a web server and a public time-sharing service. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and log in here. Now, something interesting to note is that mainframes, unlike the terminals that maybe you're used to using if you're a Linux user, have all these structured fields here and allow you to tab around and whiz around at great speed. Furthermore, these terminals implement graphics, and we're going to take a look at that as we go through this. So here we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and explain what I'm going to do with all this. First, I'm going to show you OfficeVision, which is an Office software package that was the precursor to Microsoft Office. I'm going to show you LEXX and script, which is used for formatting nice-looking, printed-out documents, sometimes called typesetting. If you're familiar with LaTeX, or maybe you call it latex or LaTeX, then you'll know exactly what this is. This is the very similar program that evolved at IBM that was intended to not really compete against that, but it does all the same stuff. Then we're going to look at web publishing and web browsing, because this machine does actually have a web server that you can go visit right now. After that, I'm going to show you how I make presentations for my students. I'm dead serious. I literally use this thing to give presentations to my students in class. It looks really cool, looks really slick in my opinion, and it's just as good as PowerPoint. Then I'm going to look at how one would install charts. Oh, there we go. Sorry, the terminal auto-scrolled. And then we're going to look at programming tasks, because no computer would be complete without being able to write programs. Then we're going to look at DisplayWrite, which is a word processor used for composing memos around the office. Then I'm going to show you email, and then I'm going to show you online document formatting for manuals and such. Alright, so what happened there if that's scrolling? Well, VMCMS, unlike Unix, has a different terminal model than you might be used to. Down at the bottom right corner is the status line of VMCMS. Running means I am running a virtual machine right now, because I'm currently logged into a VM system, and that runs some kind of virtual machine. You can run whatever virtual machine you want, except I'm running CMS, because this is a System 390 processor, so we won't be running Windows. Now, we can run Linux, and we are going to take a look at that a little bit later, but for the most part, we're going to stick to CMS for this video. EBVM is the machine's node name, because maybe you have several mainframe terminals on your desk and you don't know where they're connected to, because the connections can be whatever you want, as you saw earlier. So it just is a convenience so that you are reminded what you're on. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is show you how to list files. You just type L, and there you go. You scroll, scroll, scroll. Looks good. There's also file list, which is oftentimes abbreviated to FL, which I don't have the synonym installed, so I just have to type the full command, but that's fine. I know how to type. Not. To be fair, this keyboard is pretty crusty here. It's a cheap PS2 keyboard. Let's go ahead and get started here, though. Go ahead and run OfficeVision here. Go ahead and press enter, and this is a full screen application rather than a command line application, and this presents a very nice user interface. I can actually get help from this, but I have to type in a command to access the help. Alright, and then I can press F9 and I can actually get help. Now, strangely enough, the scroll keys are different on OfficeVision from any other program on VMCMS. I have no idea why. But this looks pretty good. Maybe I want to get help on OVVM News, because this version is from 1990 and is pretty nice. How can I work with other people's mail? Because obviously I want to read other people's email. Don't worry, you'll see how this works. It's some pretty good stuff here. OfficeVision is very advanced. Some people were very critical of OfficeVision, but I actually find it to be quite a nice program here. So here's what we can do. We can process calendars, we can open our email, we can use a phone directory so we can know what phone number to call, we can process notes and messages, in other words we can send emails, and as well as online messages to other users. We can process documents, which is for like office documents, not necessarily producing a paper to get published in a journal. I can get an automatic reminder, I can change my settings, and I can alert the system that I'm going on vacation, and provide a automatic away feature. Okay, so let's start with processing the calendars. Now this right here is a total hotshot OVVM system. This is as good as it's going to get, minus one component called DisplayWrite, which the version I have installed on this mainframe is too old to interoperate with OfficeVision, but that's fine. I have two calendars though. I have the base OfficeVision calendar as well as the extended OfficeVision calendar. So the base one is, well, kind of primitive to be honest with you, but I can press PF1 to see what I have on today's agenda. So I've already fixed my boiler today. I'm currently making this video. I am on the 12th retake of this. I'm not kidding. And at 9 tonight, I gotta go hang out with my friends, and don't worry, I am not the designated driver. Okay, this is great and all, but I can also view 7 days of the calendar and see what I have coming up in the future. Pretty good stuff. I don't have any conference scheduled anywhere, but maybe that'd be useful if I work for a company. And I can cycle through today and yesterday, just like that, and I can view the month. Looks like, yeah, this month's been actually very busy, and you can see how much I use OfficeVision. I mean, I put everything on OfficeVision. Past 2 days, though, have been free days for me, so I've just been kind of hanging around, having fun. And I can also print the calendar, which I have a old line printer sitting here in my room here. If I activate that, it's going to be very loud, so I'm not going to do that. I can also make it come out on a laser printer, though. And I can view a second menu of calendar tasks, such as change who can see my calendar, because remember, this is a multi-user system. So maybe I want to allow someone else, or I can type my own username, and this right here is the permissions for anybody, and right now there's nothing selected, so no one else can view my calendar or update it. Or I can see who else is authorized, and you can see that standard authorization. In other words, the default author user case cannot do anything. Okay, and I can also tailor calendar processing, so I can change the time zone used to display calendar information. I'm going to change it to CST, because right now I am in CST. Okay, I can change the time zone used to store calendar information. Right now it's storing in CST, because conveniently this machine is located just on the CST-EST border, and I often drive between time zone borders every day. So every now and then I'll come in here and I'll switch what time zone is being used to display events. This is pretty handy stuff. And last but not least, we have the second calendar, which is way cooler looking in my opinion. I mean, this has something, it's just popping with color. It's amazing. I can view today's schedule, and you can actually see for the first time ever where everything is here. And you can see that these entries were added, and the time has changed slightly because it's now doing CST instead of EST. And you can see over here this very slowly moving cursor. There we go. And it is 12:41 when this is being recorded, and it is in fact the last day of the year. How amazing. I can view 7 days of the calendar, and it's just like that. And I can scroll here in the list because there are inevitably several entries that show up and several pages of stuff. I can view the conference room schedule, which there's no conferences going on right now. And I can view the month, and it produces this much more colorful diagram here. And like, I didn't have anything going on yesterday, obviously, because I was working on other stuff all day. And I can come through and I can just press enter and see everything that's going on. I don't even know what I have going on in some of these days. Like, I don't even know what's going on here. Oh boy. Yeah, you can see what I had going on on this Sunday a couple weeks ago here. A lot of stuff going on. You can see that I did not complete all of the tasks. Oh well. And yes, I can scroll. How amazing is that? This is a very usable interface, and there's also a web UI. And if I remember to demonstrate this, I will demonstrate the web UI at the end. I can also do the calendar print thing, just like we saw before, and I can change how many days of the calendar get printed. I can view the business week, which shows me everything that's going on here with this very chart-based thing. Now, if you have a start and end time defined, you can see that it shows up with the start and end blocks like this right here. And I can, of course, tab through these days here, and I can hit enter, and I can go to that day. This is pretty good stuff. And, of course, also the user authorization, and you can see that this is a improvement over the last dialogues that we saw on the basic calendar. Okay, I can open the mail, and from here you can see that I'm getting some automated emails from the tools system, which we are going to take a look at. And I'm also getting SMTP emails from Snack 2. So in this case, I'm getting an email that I think that, yeah, this is Ray here. This is Ray alerting me that I have I need to check Fediverse. In other words, believe it or not, there's actually a Fediverse instance running on this very computer. It's amazing what old computers can do if you just put your mind to it. Okay, now some of these are more interesting forms of mail. Like this right here is a status mail from Tools, and we're going to take a look at that here in a bit. But right now, I want to look at sending an email real quick. So to do that, I go back to Process Notes and Messages, and from here I can send a note, which is in this era, they weren't really called email, they were called notes. So let's go ahead and send a note to myself. So this right here is the remote node name, and this is the remote username. I can also specify an SMTP email address. This keyboard is so bad. Alright, whatever. Okay, and I'm going to proofread it so I don't have any spelling mistakes. So I'm going to check the spelling, and looks like loopback is not an actual word. Now, this program, this proofer program, is a standalone program called Proof, okay? And you can find it in the VMESA ADCD images. If you're your own mainframer, that's where you can find the standalone version of this, and it's all over the place. Okay, I can check the spelling within context, which looks good. I can check the phrasing within a sentence. Well, no issues there, I guess. And I can check the reading comprehension level. Looks like 8th graders don't know what video is. What about 16th graders? Hey, I'm in grade 16. I'm never graduating. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and send this. And when this occurs, I get messages on my console. And these are actually messages. If you look up here, it says the message is from the mailbox manager user because VM users can send each other these textual messages. And yep, there you go. And yes, the way that files are sent from one user to another on VMCMS, reader file sent from test mailbox, punched file was, this was the file ID. There's one record, in other words, there's one line, and there's one copy of it. In order to facilitate communication between virtual machines on VMCMS, the hypervisor implements this strange mechanism where punched card readers and punches are connected from one user to the next. Isn't that crazy? It's pretty good stuff. Alright, now I'm going to back out and open the mail, and you can see what a human email looks like. And from here I can forward it with route, or I can reply to it with PF6. Okay, I'll go ahead and hit send here. Boom. And we're going to get the same exact message. And when I back out and press F5 to refresh, have you ever wondered where F5 on a web browser for refresh comes from? Yeah, this is it. It comes from OfficeVision. Okay, and there's the reply, and you can see that there is a reply chain that is preserved for one email deep, so it doesn't turn into like a 700 line long email. Okay, phone directory is pretty nice. I don't actually have this configured, but this program is called CallUp, and it's used to maintain a phone number database, and this version is from 1992, and it integrates beautifully with OfficeVision. Now, I don't have anyone here in this at all, so sadly there's no one there, but I will make a video at some point on this. Here are all the built-in users in the demonstration call-up file, and you can see there's everyone there. You can see their phone number, which that's kind of the point, and so you would reach over to your desk phone and dial them up. Okay, let's look at some document processing. Now, this is something that really pissed off Dan Fitzgerald. I'm sorry, I know OfficeVision can be kind of terrible at times, but here's how you actually prepare a document. So we're going to prepare documents. Process the document log is where you retrieve old documents. Add or change the document file in its log info allows you to inject a document into the OfficeVision database, which can just be any file on your disk. Select documents for stapling, bundles files together into an archive. Check outgoing mail. Well, that right there allows you, which I'm not going to do this because I have like actual real important mail in here that you don't get to see, but in this case, outgoing mail refers to when you mail a document to another user, it will keep track of that if the user ever opened it and read it. So yeah, OfficeVision actually has read receipts, and this was in the 1970s. Pretty good stuff. Okay, and process author profiles allows me to change my all kinds of good stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and prepare me a document. I'm actually going to prepare me another author profile here, and we're going to call it WC Demo. My name. If the shift key would work, that'd be great. Okay, I don't have an author title. My initials, name of the company. Internal address, 12345, room 67. State, actually I guess city, nowhere, Neverland. Zip code, telephone number, 413-867-5309. Please do not call that phone number. I do not want to hear you talk. I'm kidding. EVVM WC. Okay, brilliant. And we're going to go ahead and file that, and we'll use this one for processing up our documents. I'm going to select a specific specific document style, and I want to do a DCF interoffice memo using the memo prompter. In other words, this is going to be a memo to send to another company. So to do this, I first need to enter my author profile name, my typist's initials. Well, that's me. I do my own typing. I'm not lazy. 2. Who should we send this to? How about Joe Blow? Subject is going to be test note for demoing OV. Reference, I don't have any. Attachment, nope. copy list. Only one person's gonna get this. Alright, we're gonna go forward, and looks good. Now when I'm done, I push F7 to go to the next part, and this is where I type the actual memo itself. Now in order to type a tab stop, I push F4. This is a line with a tab stop. This is just a normal line, and this is going to go on, and there is a line break that gets formatted. Okay, and now I'm done with that, so I'm going to go ahead and press enter, and at this point I can file it where we're going to start by viewing the document and seeing what it currently looks like. And the way that the formatter works is it will see down here there were line breaks. In order for that to work properly, it will, there we go. In order for your document to work properly, it will format this such that it looks for a blank line between any other set of lines, and that marks like a paragraph return. Everything else is just, it basically just gobbles up all the words, formats them in place. Pretty good stuff. Okay, and I apologize if I sound kind of hoarse. It is extremely dry in this room right now, and it is the dead of winter, so I apologize if I don't sound good like I normally do. I probably sound very old. Anyway, I'm going to proofread the document, so I'm going to check spelling. Well, looks good. I'm going to check the, oops. I'm going to check the grade level for second graders. Oh, come on! 4 is the lowest? Oh, tab. Okay. I think I knew what formatting was in 4th grade. Okay. Now, at this point, I have several options. I can change the document. There's the changing. Now I can file the document as a final document, which puts it in the document database. I can file the document onto my disk in personal storage, which allows us to inspect the source code to the document. I'm dead serious, that's literally how that works. Or I can file the document as a draft document and mail to other reviewers if desired. If I leave it as a draft document, I can come back and edit it, or I can print the document. So I'm going to file it as a draft document. I'm not going to mail it, but I do want to keep a draft version of at least 2. Okay, and I will then process the document log. I will find documents from 12, 31, 25. Actually, we'll do this to 1, 1, 26. No documents match your search request. Well, that's kind of weird. Oh, that's because I think it is... Hang on, I need to read the help. How do I use this? Time period explanation. Yes, please. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to assume that this works. So I'm going to do 363 to 365. And there we go. So it takes the day of the year. That's so confusing. I know there's a better way to do that. I just don't know how. I barely know how to use OfficeVision. Alright. I'm going to list the documents that we found. Okay, looks good. I can save the documents found in a file, which will save them on a disk. And I'm going to say no to that. So the documents were saved in this disk file here, which is a file back on normal CMS. This is the file name, and this is the file type. So, of course, in the CPM world, they added a dot right here, which I can't type for obvious reasons, but there's normally a dot right here. And anyway, just that's how file names work on CMS. Okay, I can change the previous information and research, or I can print the document log information, but I want to view this, and from here I can prompt it, and I can open it, and I can take a look at it. Okay, so it's pretty complicated. I don't find it too difficult. I can copy the item into my personal storage, and you can see it's D365-0001 script, and I can back out to the main menu, and I can add a document, D365-001 script. What? I can't even believe. Alright, hang on. We're gonna return, we're gonna list D3 star script, D365 0001 script. Okay, got it. All right, process documents. No, process documents. Add or change a document. D3650001 script. A. Okay, and I'm going to add the document to which I'll be making changes. All right, looks good. And do I want to erase it from my personal storage? In other words, my mini disk? Sure, why not? And then from here, I can process the document log information, just like we did before. I can just view the document log information, and here we go. And there it is, just like that. All right, fun stuff. Actually, I can review the document log information, and I can route this and mail it to myself. Okay, I don't need a routing slip. Looks like I got mail. Come over here, open the mail, and there's my document. Note that it looks a little bit different from a normal email, which looks like that. Because it knows that it's a document because it's pretty intelligent stuff. Pretty good, pretty good. Quite advanced. Alright, automatic reminder. Well, how about at 1:00 p.m. Hello, Internet. And in just a minute, I should get a reminder that we should see here soon enough. I can customize my environment so I can process nicknames, which is like synonyms for various users. I can change my password, or I can turn off the logo that shows up or the confirmation nag screens that I may or may not want. So it's pretty good. I think that's enough OfficeVision for us, though. There we go. See, there's my automatic reminder. The away facility looks like this. Now, I'm not away today. Actually, yeah, sure. How about, yeah, let's see if we can get this to work. And I want... Why is this... Okay. Yeah, I'm sure. Okay. No. Yeah, okay, sure. I'm gonna email myself now. Maybe this will work. I have a feeling it will. Okay. Boom. Well, that got through. Presumably because I myself am marked as away. Good stuff. Okay. Let's move on. Now, I want to type an essay on why I think that Metroid Prime 4 is not a very good game. And obviously I need to do that. And, well, my only computer's a mainframe. I want it to look good. And I also want it to be nice and HTML-ified. So let's look at how I format documents on a mainframe. There are two editors on the system. There's Xedit, which we can look at Prime 4 script. And you can see that, come on. This looks so primitive. I mean, come on, give me a nice editor. This is used for editing just plain files and source code files. There's a better editor for editing documents, though, and it's called LEXX. And this is way nicer. I mean, look at this. This even has fonts that mimic the fonts that are going to show up when the document is printed. So this control code is for italics. Here you go. So this right here sets the paper heading, if you will. The title page is generated here. Here's a synopsis for this. Here's the body. These tags here, like H3, you might recognize that this looks surprisingly similar to HTML. This is because HTML is actually a derivative of the language that you're looking at right now, which is called GML, or in this case, BookMaster. Okay, so here's a footnote. This ends the footnote. Looks good. Anyway, I really typed my hands off on this one. This was a really fun document to write. I actually really enjoyed this. But anyway, good stuff. Now, how do I format this? Well, first I'm going to leave. And second, I need to format this in some way for displaying on a terminal, which we're going to look at the end of this video because it's more involved than anything. I want to start by formatting this for printing. So the command that we use is script, and there's the file name. We don't have to type the file extension, or I guess the file mode, or sorry, the file type, because it's implicit. It's always a script file. and then I need to specify the options to the script program. Now I have these options coded in a file that allows us to control tons of options without having to sit there and manually type them in. So the options file is BookMaster version 4 for a line printer, okay? And so it's going to go through and BookMaster's going to run, and then when I xedit $prime4 script, which is the output file, you'll see that here it is. Now, if this looks kind of confusing and like a weird, like why is the title showing up 4 times, it's because this is intended to come out on a mainframe line printer, and it supports something called carriage control. And the purpose of carriage control is, if I scroll up to the top, actually this is a good example here. This right here means there's special control codes, and then there are special control codes in this column here. In this case, it's going to prevent the printer from advancing to the next line, and so it's going to print narrative 4 times onto the paper, so it's good and black, okay? However, that's kind of stupid and primitive, so how about we get PostScript out of it so we can make a PDF? Well, I can do that. So, script, in this case, there's 2 ways of doing this. I can output PostScript directly, or I can output an intermediary format and we can convert it. So let's take a look at both. So script prime4 options are book4ps, and it's going to go through and it's going to generate a PostScript file. Looks like we got an error somewhere in the mix, but before we do anything, we need to make it into a PDF. Now, I have a file that looks like this, and the reason it looks like it's garbage instead of PostScript is because mainframes do not use ASCII as the character encoding. They use EBCDIC, and so you can see that there are EBCDIC characters that will be translated when this is converted into a PDF. If I submit this file right now to my printer, it's going to come out and it's going to look absolutely stunning. But I want to PDFify it. In order to do that, I need to transmit the PostScript file to a special service machine I have that will convert it into a PDF for me. So send file, if I can type, prime4, was PSA, this is the full file name. Prime4 is the file name, this is the file type, and this is the file mode, which is like the drive letter. And that's going to be sent to PDF at BSDserve. And boom, that right there converted it into a PDF for me. The beauty of networking, and I can check my reader list, and here it is. And now I have a PDF. However, I can actually put this on a web page in order to view it. So let's do that. Let's publish a web page here. Actually, before we get too carried away, let's browse my website. There's a program that I have called www, and we're going to view evvm.pubvm.org, which is this machine's hostname. And there we go. So this is the landing page. Strangely enough, this actually looks stunningly similar to how it actually looks on a web browser if you punch this into your web browser right now. I'm going to come over here to user pages. Sorry, I have someone texting me right now. I'm going to silence my phone there. Going to come over here to user pages, and I have me. If I can tab down to myself. Oh boy, this is so goofy. Here's me, and here's Rudy. Oh, I see why I couldn't see it. It's so tiny. So let me load up my page, which is going to look predictably very rather crusty. I don't know why this is running so slow. There we go. That took 700 years. I want to view documents, and here's a collection of documents, and you can see it even has this nice like bullet point thing. But this right here is something I'm going to add to. So let's do it. I'm going to xedit docs.html w. W is a special file mode that's mapped to a directory that the web server can access. Okay, so I'm going to scroll all the way down using bottom. No jokes, please. And I'm going to, under the internet culture, I guess that seems fine. I am going to copy and paste these lines here. I'm going to scroll down a couple lines, and this is going to show a bullet point that color responds to DCF, because that's what we typed that document up with, DCF script. And this is going to be Metroid Prime 4 critique. Hang on, how about story, critique, and review? And the file is going to be actually, there's going to be several options for the file here. So I'm going to turn on insert mode so I can type in just like this. And we're going to have prime4.listps and prime4.pdf. And I need to copy these files from my A disk to my W disk. Okay, so I'm going to copy prime4listps A, and that's going to be equal, so same file name, same file type, but copy it to disk W. I'm going to do the same thing as well for PDF. Then I'm going to allow the web server to access that. So I'm going to do grant auth ** wc dot, which is the directory path, to eweb001. And here we go. Alright, I'm going to pause this recording now, and we're going to immediately switch over and look at my website. Alright, so let's take a look at that. Boom! We live in the future, don't we? Okay, so here's the website served out by the machine. There's a picture of the machine. Pretty good stuff. I'm sure if you've seen my previous video on it, you've already seen enough of that. Go over to user pages, go over to my page. This was intended to look super stupid. Also, John, thank you for making this. Documents. Ooh, yeah, look at that color coding. Grizzly. Alright, PDF. And here it is. And yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good. I would say. Zoom in here. It's pretty good. The formatting is solid. There's of course inevitably errors because there's a font mismatch, but that's fine. You can disregard that one. And other than that, I think this looks pretty good. Pretty good. Alright, let's keep rocking and rolling here, because we are far from being done. Of course, I can tailor those option files. For instance, this right here overrides the font being used, because if you take a note down here, there is allegedly an error. There we go. With the font, and you can see that it didn't quite like that, but I guess it gets the job done, for better or for worse. And this right here sets high PostScript resolution, because obviously that's what we want. And the rest of these are just override defaults for the document style, make it look good. Okay, now let us continue, because we are far from being done. So now we know how to publish web pages, and as well as publish PDFs, I guess, as well. We can also make presentation slides. Now this is something that always blows people away, but if you are a frequent viewer of this channel and maybe you come for the tutorials, you probably saw my ZOS Part 3 tutorial where I show you how to write a program that runs on DB2 and kicks. Well, guess what? What? What in the world did I break? Oh boy. Oh, I know what this is. Let's try that again. For those of you who don't know, this graphics subsystem can theoretically display on a normal, like an X Windows X server, but I'm showing you what the terminal graphics looks like, because I think it looks way cooler. I mean, look at this font. It's so pretty. It's absolutely beautiful. And you can see that it fits very nicely with the character cell size. And this advances to the next slide here. Okay, and let's go take a look at that ZOS 1B here. And I can press F12 to edit this, and you can see that it uses a markup language. This is mostly copy-paste programming. I basically just copied the example because the example provides a brilliant example, obviously, and I'm about to show you what that looks like. So I am going to exit here. Please don't hang. There we go. This right here allows me to pick a page, and I always go to the more choices, and now you can actually see where mine came from. Pretty good stuff here. Symbol and text. Look at this vector graphic. Okay, I do not think that... Maybe it works. I feel like I'm hung. Yeah, I'm hung. Nope, there we go. We're good. Alright, let us... Oh, come on. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work. I don't know why it's hanging. Anyway, this is what this looks like. It's pretty good stuff. I actually find it very user-friendly. Now, we can also make charts to insert into these as well. So, if for instance we look at a slide for one of my classes, which I'm sure my students have certainly seen, there's a picture in there of a chart, and that chart was made using ADM chart. So I'm just going to give you like a bogus mock-up example so you can see how to do this. We're going to do chart by example. So the first thing I need is, first thing I need is get some fake data. So let's do it. How about ranges for a histogram? Alright, looks good. Alright, let's go back. Set the chart type to a histogram. And then I can display that. And there we go. Maybe that's not the best, but I can do a chart type. Somewhere in here, there is an option to... from a ready-made chart, and this shows all the chart types that this is aware of. And I believe that I can push 8 for more. Ah, look at that, isn't it just beautiful? How about vehicles per hour? 3 looks pretty good. I'll take 1. Chart so far. And I can display this. And if I'm being honest, this looks very similar to like a vector scope on a television. Pretty interesting. I've never actually seen this before. But I can return home, and I can actually save this. And we're going to save in a file. I'm going to show both save both format and data. We're going to call it demo chart. Okay. And I can also save a picture file. And I'm going to save that in a file. Actually, yeah, I'm going to save whole chart as graphic data format. Okay. Now at this point, I have these pictures here, which I can view, or I can just put directly into a presentation. So let's do that. So I'm going to start by opening up the demo. And this will allow us to get... I'm going to press F8 for more choices, as I tried to do before. And this right here is going to provide bullets and image. Okay, apparently it actually does not like that. That's fine. We can do it by hand. So how about we ADM-OPS LA ZOS 1A, and I'm going to unceremoniously superimpose an image over the bottom of this. So to do that, it's :GDF, file name, demo chart, and then the range of it. I'll put up in a corner, so it'll be 75, 30, 45, 45, I guess that's fine. And there you go, you can see that. Okay. How about 10, 10? Uh-oh. Problem. Not transformable. That's fine. Stick it in the middle. And that's how you get a picture in there. Now I can actually convert this picture to a GIF, believe it or not. So I'm just gonna leave. Please leave. Thank goodness. Okay. The program is ADMU GIF, and then the file name is, well, demo chart. And this is going to make a GIF out of this. So I'm going to copy demo chart GIF A == W. Oops. Oh, it's GIF bin. That's right. GIF bin. It's so dumb. We're going to rename demo chart GIF bin W demo chart GIF W. And now I need to xedit the eWeb file list, which controls all the files that my web server is allowed to access. It's going to be demo chart GIF, and then grant off ** directory path to eWeb 001, and then we're going to switch over to Firefox. We're going to come over here, and we're going to punch in demo chart.gif, and there's our freaking chart. I mean, it's not super high resolution because I set the resolution to be kind of low, but anyway, I think you'll get the gist of that there. Alright, let's have some more fun. Let's write some programs. Now, I'm a big fan of writing programs to handle simple tasks. I'm not going to sit here and do like a problem-solving demonstration for you because I'm going to be honest, it's kind of boring. Instead, I'm going to show you how to write programs in C and COBOL. So we're going to start with a demo prog COBOL because everyone loves COBOL because we're on a mainframe, obviously. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You always space over 7. Now I come over 4. And then stop run. There we go. Save that. COBOL to demo prog. And now we gotta link it. You see the load command will load the program into memory, and that's the object file. And CMS is the linker itself, so I can gen-mod demo prog, and I can run it. Addressing it, what? Oh, that's right. The COBOL compiler never outputs a working program. Of course. How could I be so silly? Because there is something in my profile exec that is making that not work. Actually, I think I just run it directly. Okay, yeah, alright, so much for that. I don't know what's going off the COBOL compiler. I'm sorry if anyone needs it. I apparently broke it. Oh well, we can still use C though. Let me tell you, writing C programs on a mainframe is hard work. Reason is because there's actually no brackets. Guess what? I'm gonna flex on all y'all. I actually have brackets. Actually, that's terrible. Alright. Whoop-de-doo. What? Oh yes, naturally, of course. How in the world did that get through quality control? I have no idea. Good stuff. Okay. Now, there's also DisplayWrite 370, which is kind of an older program. But it is a very nice program. Alas. What did I even call that file? This is what DisplayWrite looks like. It's pretty simple, I would say. You can see that's where the page breaks are. And I have the ability to insert all manner of useful things right. Well, actually, beforehand, spelling is easy. You just go to the word that you think is spelled wrong. You just push. Ah, yeah, you see that's not a known word. The rest of these are in the LEXX file, so that's good. And you can see that somewhere in here, there's a special instruction. And in fact, there is a construction, or an instruction, for either centering text, bolding text, or all kinds of stuff like that. So there's all sorts of useful stuff here, like bold, So to mark text, of course, you would come over here, and then you would F9 again, and then this right here has presumably something turned on. I can underscore this, and though you can't see it, it is being underscored. And I can save this. Like that. And I believe I have an option to view it. And I can come down here, I can view it in a dedicated view pane, which is basically the same thing, I just can't edit it. And I can also load this into OfficeVision. So if I come over to Office and I go and process documents, I can add or change the document, and it's as easy as DW sample RFTA. And I'm going to not make any more changes to it. Do I want to erase it from my personal storage? Not at the moment. At this point, I can process the document log, and I can find documents made on these wonderful, great days. I can view the documents here, and this right here is now an RFT document, and I can come over here and F4 it and open it. And you can see that this version of DisplayWrite is kinda crusty when it comes to OfficeVision. But anyway, it's an RFT format file. Alright, good stuff. Now if I want, I can also email it to someone. So how about we route it to myself. I'm going to add a routing slip just for fun. And this is going to be for your comments. I obviously have mail, and I can back out this menu, and I can open my mail, and the first thing I'm going to see is the routing slip. So here you go. And then here's the document. And I can view this. RFTF means that's an RFT final document, and in order to view it, it copies it onto my disk. And if you actually have the updated version of DisplayWrite for OfficeVision, which I don't have, it hides this ugly file name at the top, and it actually works properly. Pretty goofy. But anyway, that's that. Now, let's do something more interesting. This, being a hypervisor-based virtual machine system, has a wide variety of other operating systems running underneath it. So I'm going to send my Prime 4 script to WC at EVMVS. And I'm going to log off of here, and I'm going to dial MVS and access a MVS, or in this case ZOS guest. Those who watch my ZOS tutorial videos will already know this machine. This is the infamous machine that all the tutorials are made on. I'm going to come over here to TSO command line, and I'm going to receive. And this is going to go on volume Z5 user 2. Alright. And I now have, if I look for **.script, you will see, there it is. So here is my beautiful Metroid Prime 4 essay. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to build, wow, great job spelling. I'm going to turn this into an online book that I can read on a mainframe. So in this case, it's going to be wc.prime4.script. The document language is not GML, but BookMaster. And it's going to save it as wc.prime4.book, which is the dataset name. Remember, MVS is a completely different operating system from VM. And this looks good. I think that will do. And yep, so we're going to submit that batch job. I'm going to back out and go into SDSF. And now just wait for this to finish. And I can actually look at the output while it's running. And you can see it's basically the exact same BookMaster stuff, except this is a BookMaster build that runs, and then it calls script. Pretty good stuff, isn't it? Alright, boom. There we go. Alright, let's read it. So I'm going to exit from this program, run a different command called BookManager. And this is used for displaying manuals. Now I can read all about BookMaster, like how do I display online books using this program? Who cares? I want to display my own book. Well, let's do it. We're going to open a book, wc.prime4.book. And lo and behold, there we go. I can come through here and fast track through this. I can also read the footnotes. Pretty good. Pretty good stuff. I actually find, unlike some people, I actually find BookManager to be a very good thing. I don't know why some people seem so hesitant to use BookManager, but I guess it is a useful evil at times. All right, now next thing we're going to look at is the web interface for OfficeVision VM. Okay, so with Office open, okay, so let's look at that OfficeVision web interface here. So rather than going to the default port, we're instead going to go to port 90, and we're going to go to VM Web Gateway / Office. I see there's a typo there. And I'm going to log in. Okay. And after hitting enter, it loads. Alright, let's zoom in so you can see what we're looking at here. I can view my inbox. Also, now viewing this on LAN, this is accessible over the internet, but the web server program can only run for 30 minutes before it gets booted out for not having a license in the company that makes it no longer exist. So, okay, and this right here is the note that we were looking at before. This does not show documents naturally, but that's fine. You can reply, but I can also view my schedule, which is daily schedule for today, naturally. Now, the way this works is actually pretty goofy. You need to have OfficeVision open on your terminal, and you need to have a special expansion module loaded in it. If you want to know how to do this, let me know. It's not super hard. And there we go. Isn't that just delightful and wonderful? And I can go to tomorrow as well. Wow. And it actually works across day things as well. Let's do it a month at a glance. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff going here, looks like. Go back to the main menu. I have a 3270 interface, which this doesn't actually work. I have no idea how to make this work, but this just like straight up allows you to open a 3270 interface here. Distribution lists. It's basically a mailing list. Nicknames, help. I need help. Nice. Good stuff. Alright. Oh, by the way, I have a plugin on here. It does not actually look this good. Oh, come on. I have to refresh the page. Yes, please, resend. There we go. It actually looks like that. Sorry to blind anyone. Alright, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I think that we have seen enough. And I think that this has been a very, hopefully, entertaining demonstration of how I use a computer in the year 2025. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Oh my gosh, you're so old. Yeah, so what? Alright, I will see y'all later. Go ahead and log out, and I will see y'all in the next video. Everyone take care. Happy New Year, and don't do anything I wouldn't do. Alright, I'll see y'all later. Bye!